Hey, it's Rick. Welcome back to For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God. When I was in my late teens through my early mid-20s, I was working out a lot because I wanted to be big, I wanted to be strong, I wanted to be buff, and it was almost pure vanity, right? The goal was big, strong, buff. These days, I'm still working out. I came back to working out in my late 30s, still working out now, but the goals are very different. The goals now is I just want to live. I just want to live normally. I've got a desk job and I've got this desk thing going on with school as well. And if I wasn't working out, I would probably be 500 pounds. Working out takes a lot of time to sacrifice. Even though my goals are very different right now, I'm still hitting the gym, my home gym, for like 60 to 90 minutes a few times a week. If it wasn't for the benefits, if it wasn't for the benefit of me not weighing 500 pounds, of me not being able to do life almost normal-like, I'm not so sure I would say that the sacrifice is worth it. The benefits make the sacrifice worth it. So let me ask you, what are you pursuing right now? What goal do you have right now that is worth the sacrifice? In today's text, we're looking at a balancing act here, the balance between sacrifice and benefit. We're going to look at the benefit that Jesus has in mind and the sacrifice that he's willing to make in order to achieve that benefit. Mark chapter 10, verses 32 to 34. They were now on the way up to Jerusalem, and Jesus was walking ahead of them. The disciples were filled with awe, and the people following behind were overwhelmed with fear. Taking the 12 disciples aside, Jesus once more began to describe everything that was about to happen to him. "Listen," he said, "we're going up to Jerusalem, where the Son of Man will be betrayed to the leading priests and the teachers of the religious law. They will sentence him to death, hand him over to the Romans. They will mock him, spit on him, flog him with a whip, and kill him. But after 3 days, he will rise again." Hey kids, remember to keep your eyes on the background for all of the characters that are hidden in there. And also please remember to watch this week's episode of Connect HQ. Thinking through the idea of balancing sacrifice and benefit, I wanted to put this your way. Let compassion be one of your drivers. So in order to reach his ultimate goal, Jesus needed to make the ultimate sacrifice. Underneath the sacrifice and benefit exchange, though, is something powerful, more powerful a driver than the driver of achievement. If your motivation is achievement, then there are benefits and goals that you are never going to obtain. The underlying motivation for Jesus isn't achievement. Jesus' motivation is compassion. And it's because Jesus is motivated by compassion that he is able to say, yes, the sacrifice is worth the reward. Jesus' compassion is what defined the benefit and reward as worth it. Let's look at the text in 3 ways, and we'll see if it makes sense to you to consider letting compassion be one of your drivers as you're starting to think about what goals do you have, what are the benefits of those goals, and are the sacrifices really worth it? Let's start this first part off with a question. Why do you do what you don't want to do? And as that question comes to my head, I'm thinking of the word Jerusalem as Jesus was heading up to Jerusalem. We all do things that we don't want to do. We change diapers, we work long hours, we skip vacation, we work weekends, we talk to people we don't like, we visit family instead of staying home in the peace and quiet, we study for 6 hours memorizing content for a test, we spend weeks exploring the etiology of disorders for a presentation, we cook instead of eating out, we do a ton of stuff that we would prefer not to do. Why do we do all of those things that we don't want to do? Why do you do all the things that you don't want to do? Well, I think we do it because it makes sense to us. We want to get good grades. We want to get a promotion. We want to get extra money. We want to keep family relationships intact. We want to save money. Or we can't afford to do what we want to do. Those are some pretty good reasons, if you ask me, about why we do some of the things we don't want to. But I'd like to suggest to you that there's something bigger, something more is needed when we're thinking about the greater sacrifices that we're making for the greater benefits. We need a stronger driver. People will run into a burning building to save a cat. People will give some of their income away for a cause to help somebody that they don't even know. Why do people do things for others when it actually hurts them? There's a bigger driver behind these huge sacrifices to come up with these huge goals. Let's just take a moment to recognize the awesome motivation of compassion. Jesus was constantly, all the time motivated by compassion. He also did a lot of things that he didn't want to do. Namely, in this passage, he's heading to Jerusalem. He's on his way to the cross. That's what that means. I mean, there's a reason why the people following him are afraid and filled with awe. The crowd knows that as he's going to Jerusalem, he's heading into violence, that people are looking for him. People are wanting to hunt him down. The disciples know that Jesus knows this. And so the disciples, like the crowd, think that maybe Jesus doesn't know that he's heading into violence. But the disciples, they know that Jesus knows he's heading into violence, and they know that he's choosing to do this because there's a benefit ahead that they don't understand. Compassion is a driver for Jesus. It's a huge driver for Jesus, allowing him to make these huge sacrifices in order to get these huge benefits. I mean, we can also call it love if you want to call it love, but I like compassion better because it's used in the Gospel of Mark, and Mark himself uses it to describe the motivator of Jesus. Why is Jesus doing this? Why is Jesus heading to Jerusalem to make this huge sacrifice? Why is he doing things that he doesn't truly want to do? And the easy answer is because the benefit is worth it. But the bigger answer is it's because of his motivation. He's not motivated for achievement. He's motivated by compassion. Let me really answer this and flesh this out with another question. What are you looking forward to? The text says after 3 days he will rise again. Okay, you know what? I typically do a lot of things I don't want to do because of the reward that follows. I'll spend a whole week studying and memorizing for an exam. I hate the memory work, honest. My memory has never really been good, but I love the mark, and I love that it's going to launch me into a new career. I also hate cooking, but I love my kids. So the reward justifies me going to cook for them. They might not say that my cooking is too rewarding for them, but that's why I do it, because they got to eat something. We spend a lot of money on presents because those presents in some way communicate value. And if we don't buy our spouse a present for, say, Christmas, there are consequences. Is it too early to say Christmas is coming and it's just next month? Sometimes the reward is just a lack of consequences. Knowing that if you don't buy your spouse a gift, she'll be very, very mad at you and feel like she's not wanted or needed or loved. You go out and you buy that gift just because you don't want to experience the consequence, and that's okay in itself. For Jesus, believe it or not, the benefit is you. Following his journey to Jerusalem, being handed over to the Romans and being crucified, comes his resurrection. Jesus wasn't looking forward to the cross, but he was looking forward to the resurrection. The resurrection right here is what Jesus was focused on, because with his resurrection comes your resurrection, and then an eternity that includes you and Jesus together forever. He's motivated with this great compassion because his compassion is what's going to lead you and I into an eternity spent with him. The reward was worth Jesus doing what he really didn't want to do. His motivation was compassion and love so that you and I could spend eternity with him. What reward could you look forward to when you allow compassion to motivate your actions? You and I aren't headed toward a literal cross, but sometimes the sacrifices that we need to make for others are a type of cross that we bear. Time spent with people who need help is time sacrificed with your family. Money spent to help people is money spent not to meet your own needs. Intentionally treating people around you with friendliness and kindness and compassion sacrifices that alone and that me time that some of us may want if you happen to be an introvert. Standing up for yourself at your job based on your convictions, that's pretty risky. For Jesus, he was motivated by compassion, looking forward to the reward of connecting with you right now and also forever. The cross was ahead, but without the cross, there would never have been a resurrection and an eternity to look forward to. What benefit makes compassion worth it for you? Without the cross, there's no resurrection. Without your sacrifice, there's no future benefit. Here's a takeaway. There are people who would benefit by your sacrifice. What would make compassion worth it for you? Look ahead to the benefit so that the sacrifice makes sense, and then please let compassion be one of your drivers, just like compassion was the primary driver of Jesus that sent him to the cross in order to reach the ultimate benefit of you and God being together now and also forever. That's it from me to you for now. For Community, creating community spaces so you can connect with others and also with God.